The story of Moses is one of the most fascinating and mysterious tales in history. Moses is a figure whose actions and words have had a profound impact on humanity, influencing countless generations. But there's one question about Moses that has puzzled scholars and believers alike for centuries. Why was Moses' body never found? Moses is one of the most significant characters in the Bible, and his story is a cornerstone of religious tradition. He was chosen by God to free the Hebrew people from slavery in Egypt and to lead them to the promised land of Canaan. Along the way, he also delivered God's laws to the people, laws that would shape the moral foundation of many cultures. The story of Moses is recorded in the first 5 books of the Bible, known as the Pentateuch, with the book of Exodus focusing on his life and achievements. Moses' life is marked by miracles and divine interventions that demonstrate God's power and favor. From his miraculous birth and survival as an infant to his role in the Exodus, where he led over 2 million people out of Egypt, Moses' life was nothing short of extraordinary. The story of the Exodus is one of the most dramatic in history, filled with incredible events like the parting of the Red Sea, where Moses, through God's power, split the waters so the Israelites could escape the pursuing Egyptian army. But let's start from the beginning. Moses was born at a time when the Israelites were living in Egypt, but their situation had drastically changed from when they first arrived. Initially, they were welcomed, but over time they became slaves under the rule of the Egyptian pharaohs. To control the growing population of Israelites, Pharaoh ordered that all newborn Hebrew boys be killed. Moses' mother, desperate to save her son, hid him for 3 months. When she could no longer keep him hidden, she placed him in a basket and set it afloat on the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter found the basket and, moved by compassion, decided to raise the child as her own. She named him Moses, and he grew up in the palace, living as an Egyptian prince. Despite his privileged upbringing, Moses never forgot his roots. One day he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave and in a fit of rage killed the Egyptian. Realizing that his act had been witnessed and fearing for his life, Moses fled Egypt and became a fugitive. He eventually settled in the land of Midian, where he married Zipporah, the daughter of a local priest, and became a shepherd. Years passed, and Moses lived a quiet life in Midian, but God had not forgotten him. One day, while tending his sheep, Moses saw a bush that was on fire but not burning up. Curious, he approached, and God spoke to him from the bush, commanding him to return to Egypt and free the Israelites from slavery. Though reluctant at first, Moses obeyed and returned to Egypt, where he confronted Pharaoh. When Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go, God unleashed 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt, forcing Pharaoh to relent. Even after releasing the Israelites, Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his army after them. But God was with Moses, and he parted the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to cross safely. When Pharaoh's army tried to follow, the waters returned, drowning the soldiers. The journey to the Promised Land was long and difficult, and the Israelites often complained and rebelled against Moses' leadership. Despite their disobedience, God provided for them, giving them food and water in the desert. One of the most significant moments in Moses' life was when he ascended Mount Sinai to receive the 10 Commandments from God. These commandments, written on stone tablets, were to guide the Israelites in their relationship with God and with each other. However, even Moses was not perfect. During their journey, the Israelites reached a place called Meribah, where there was no water. The people complained bitterly, and God instructed Moses to speak to a rock, and water would flow from it. But Moses, frustrated and angry with the people, struck the rock instead of speaking to it. Water still flowed, but God was displeased with Moses' disobedience. As a result, God told Moses that he would not enter the Promised Land. Moses continued to lead the Israelites faithfully, even though he knew he would not reach the destination with them. Finally, after 40 years of wandering in the desert, they arrived at the edge of the Promised Land. God led Moses to the top of Mount Nebo, where he showed him the land that the Israelites would inherit. But Moses was not allowed to enter. He died on the mountain at the age of 120, still strong and full of life, but his body was never found. The Bible tells us that God himself buried Moses in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, but the exact location of his grave remains a mystery to this day. Some believe that God purposely hid Moses' body to prevent it from becoming a shrine or place of worship, ensuring that the focus would remain on God and not on Moses. The story of Moses is a testament to faith, leadership, and the consequences of disobedience. His life was filled with incredible highs and deep lows, but through it all he remained devoted to God and his mission. Moses' story continues to inspire millions of people around the world, and the mystery of his final resting place only adds to the intrigue and reverence that surrounds this great prophet. So why was Moses' body never found? Perhaps it is because his legacy was never meant to be tied to a physical place. Moses' true legacy lives on in the laws he delivered, the people he led, and the faith he inspired. His story is not just about the journey to the promised land, but about the journey of faith and obedience to God. And in that journey, Moses' influence will never be lost, even if his body was.